Trinidad and Tobago has a foreign exchange crisis. So the Trinidad dollar, which like I could actually
Oh, show us the $50.
this is $100. So this for one of these, not for one of these, but for one Trinidadian dollar, the official rate is $6.78 to one USD. So for every USD, I need $6 TTD, and that is what is the bank rate. And because the banks don't have enough USD currency, they've tightened their the ability to give it out. So most folks are limited to $200 USD per month that they can exchange. So no matter how much I have, no matter if I have stacks and stacks and stacks of TTD, I can't actually go and buy USD for travel, for business, for whatever it may be, because there is a shortage. And so then the other side of it is now there becomes a black market, which is, okay, my friends or family are willing to bring USD home for me or pay for things for me, but they're going to charge a higher rate. So sometimes we're seeing $7 to one, $8 to one, but the folks in Trinidad need access to this foreign capital to simply participate in the worldwide economy. So USDT has filled a gap, which is I need access to a stable coin, USDT, and to just transact, just to pay my vendors that for a car or for equipment or whatever it may be. So USD has filled that gap. It's called the Virtual Asset and Virtual Asset Service Provider Bill. And essentially, if you read the bill, you would see that the broad language is putting a ban for 2 years for anybody who wants to use crypto, wants to sell, buy, or hold in Trinidad and Tobago. And that also applies to Trinidadian citizens who are operating outside of Trinidad, are mining, holding. Yeah, exactly.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions. I'm your host, Saida Gomez. So today is a special episode because I will not be asking 21 questions, and there will not be a seed phrase in this full interview because when I go to Trinidad to visit my family, I don't want to get arrested. Trinidad has banned Bitcoin, and here to tell us all about it is Alexandra Lutchman, co-founder of Guap and head of marketing. Alexandra, how are you today?
I am so good. Thank you so much for having me here. It's always lovely to be back. It's always lovely to be speaking to you.
Yeah, thank you for being on. And you look lovely. I think lovely will be the undertone of this quite sad discussion, I would say.
Lovely is a good undertone. It is good, and we're fighting the good fight. So
Yeah.
it's promising too.
So tell me, so Trinidad has banned Bitcoin and I guess crypto widely. I learned about this thanks to you because you alerted me to this fact. What is this all about?
Right. So there's a lot of context, but I think every Bitcoiner knows that up to a point, the government is going to be a little cautious about crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain, you name it. They're going to be like, hold on, what is this? And what is it doing with my people's money? So Trinidad and Tobago has introduced a bill. It hasn't passed yet, so we're not officially banned. It's called the Virtual Asset and Virtual Asset Service Provider Bill. And essentially, if you read the bill, you would see that the broad language is putting a ban for 2 years for anybody who wants to use crypto, wants to sell, buy, or hold in Trinidad and Tobago. And that also applies to Trinidadian citizens who are operating outside of Trinidad, and are mining, holding. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm sorry to disrupt your flow, but I didn't.
Go. That was my exact reaction. So when I first read this bill, context for everybody, I am the head of product or head of marketing at Guap. Guap is the largest virtual asset service provider in Trinidad. We have one Bitcoin ATM that helps people send money back home. So you can tell that a lot of people are going to be affected by this, especially US and Canadians who have Trinidadian roots, such as myself, sending money back home.
Okay.
And it's Bitcoin, essentially they're selling it and they're getting cash. Now imagine a ban there, right? Imagine you're a miner or you're taking a position on any crypto. So it's not just Bitcoin. And then a government can come in and say, no. You can go to jail, you'll get fined. If you're someone like me who's providing a service, it's up to a $5 million TTD fine and 5 years in jail, which ideally I don't want to do. Now, yeah, I'm going to stop there because, like, I
That,
can see it in your face.
yeah, that's punitive damage. But so you said Trinidad and Tobago citizens. Are
Yeah.
we talking like tax-paying citizens, or I hold the passport, I'm impacted? I hold the passport, I live in Switzerland or Canada, and I'm also impacted by this outside of the TT jurisdiction.
I believe it's residents. So
Okay.
I would believe it's residents. So you're safe for now. You're safe for now. But it is, yeah, it does impact especially people home, like in our home country.
Can I tell you, side note, I applied for my Trinidad and Tobago
I'm
passport.
literally in the middle of doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, my parents, for the viewers, my parents are born and left Trinidad. I think they were like 18 and 20, but
Yeah.
they're born there. My father reapplied for his Trinidad and Tobago passport because he has a Canadian passport. My mom hasn't done that yet. And
Right.
like 2 or 3 years ago, I was back in Toronto. I went to the consulate or embassy's website. I looked at all
Mhm.
the required documents. Everything was translated, and
Has
I
it?
was this close to getting my passport. Only the woman was like, "I'm sorry, like one word on the like 10 documents wasn't translated into English." And she said, "Oh, I can't accept it." And I was like, "How are you going to do that to me? Like, I come from Switzerland to apply." Now that you're telling me this, I'm saying maybe God had a plan for me.
Maybe, but let me tell you that your experience there is most of Trinidadians' experience when dealing with anything bureaucratic. Is that if there's one word, we shipped two ATMs recently, and the paperwork that we had ready, we were ready to go, ready to do. It was like, it must come from here, it must have the exact wording. And in a small country, sometimes these heavy-handed regulations do more harm than good. And that's what we're seeing. And I do understand. So for all intents and purposes, I'm very pro regulation in
Yeah.
terms of there are people who need to be protected. There are bad actors. There are people who want to be a part of the Bitcoin and crypto ecosystem, and they just don't have that same muscles that we would have in terms of knowing what a scam is, knowing where to put their
Yeah.
money, knowing what a hot versus cold wallet is, what we consider almost basic. And I would applaud the government, and I do applaud the Trinidadian government to at least say this is something that needs to be regulated. This is something that we should be pay attention to. So we have a little bit of a win there. However, I think based on the reading and based on my understanding is they want about 2 years to understand the space. And 2 years in a tech space is live or die. As in if anyone who wants to innovate in the space and they end up being in Trinidad wants to build something, 2 years of not having access to technology, not being able to go out to market is killer. And I'm not the only startup in Trinidad. We have other players there that we've all banded together to make something called the Virtual Asset Working Group. And we've submitted documentation, we've submitted testimonials on behalf of our customers, and just changes to the bill, which honestly feels like a new bill, to say, hey, we're willing to work with the government. We're very, very happy to be the good actors here, because if you ban us who are willing to work closely with you and the only space is left for underground black market bad actors, then this is going to do more harm than good. People are going to lose more money, and we don't want that. We want this to be a space of, fulfillment and adoption. So that is the current environment. We are saying, hey, hold on. We're going
Yeah.
to work with you. Just don't ban us for 2 years where we can't operate and we can't even speak to you for it.
So it's the service providers that are banned and individuals from actually, like, what can they ban on an individual level?
On a decentralized side, technically they can't ban it, right? Like we all
Okay.
know that, like if you have it on a cold wallet and it's underneath your mattress, what are they going to do? Like they can't do anything. The question though is, what can you do with your money? So if you have a position in Bitcoin, USDT, use it to pay your bills overseas, you
Yeah.
don't have access anymore. No exchanges are going to be able to be there. You're going to have to meet somebody in a parking lot. If that somebody in a parking lot ends up screwing you over, you can't go to the police and say, hey, like we were going to conduct a fair business exchange and then they ended up scamming me. Because the police are going to be like, well, virtual assets are illegal, crypto is illegal, we can't help you. And then
Wow.
again, you're lost for what you can and cannot do.
So there's so many more things that I want to like
Yeah,
get into
absolutely.
specifically. Um, So, number one is a comment. Isn't education more powerful than legislation? Would it not be more effective? And I can say this because I'm not a business operating in Trinidad, so this doesn't reflect you, my guest, co-founder of Guap. But in my opinion, educating people is far more effective than trying to, figure out the space. Because once you set regulation, especially for 2 years in this space, things evolve so quickly. The regulators will just be playing catch up all the time. There's no way to get ahead and to stay ahead.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that because what we see is regulators are inherently reactive. There's a new technology, and this applies to the internet as well. A new technology comes into it. We see a grassroots adoption, and then the bad actors, good actors, a lot of fulfillment happens there. And then the government needs to step in at some point and say, hey, like, here's some good ways to work with it. Here's some incentives to work well. And here's a disincentive for, making sure that people don't do something not great. So education even from the Guap level, even from us as consumers, or service providers is, what does a scam look like? How can you protect yourself? And that I spend probably 40% of my week educating customers on these things.
Yeah.
And I love to do it. And that information is out there. And what we're hoping for is that anybody who's writing these laws are going to say, hey, look, there's knowledgeable people.
Yeah.
Their incentive align with us, which is they want crypto to be in this space and they want their consumers to be protected. Let's work together to make sure that this doesn't, go in a wrong direction, because we've seen we've seen countries who have banned crypto.
Like China banned Bitcoin, and what happened?
Yeah. I'm sure there's underground. I can't really speak for a lot of Chinese citizens, but I'm sure there's an underground place for Bitcoin. I'm sure that they've had new types of crypto come out. I'm sure that there's been people who have been scammed. And I'm sure that a lot of people have sent their money out. I'm holding the Bitcoin, but it's not in China. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No. So it's to your point, education is so vital to this, and it's a matter of who's willing to listen and who's willing to have like an open mind to seeing how this can be beneficial and not beneficial.
Definitely. In the case of China, I mean, I think it was 2021 or 2022. All of the Bitcoin miners, they just put their ASICs on planes, shipped to like Texas and other jurisdictions that were more friendly. And, Bitcoin kept going. And I think, if I were to offer some advice to the Trinidad and Tobago government, I would just simply say that this will continue with or without you. It is too late to try to stop anything. And one risk that is posed is brain drain within the country.
Yes.
For people who are innovators, people who think outside the box, people who, even individuals who have perhaps been hodling Bitcoin for some time, if they have any significant amount and they say, I know this, I have transacted in Bitcoin, I've held it, I see how it's enriching my family, I am not going to give this up because you need 2 years to figure things out, I'm going to leave. I mean, that's not the best for your country moving forward.
So, well said. I actually almost have no comment to that because innovate. There are plenty of smart people in Trinidad. They're willing to take risks. They're willing to try new technology. We came back. So as most people would hear, I'm Canadian. I don't have a Trinidadian accent, but I went back to that country where my roots are from to bring this innovation, to bring my expertise and see a country that I love and care about flourish. And if I'm not allowed to operate there, I still have a duty to my employees. I still have a duty to the company that I'm running, to my investors. And I could fight the good fight for as long as I can. But if we're not willing to, if Trinidad government is not willing to budge or hear me out and hear the innovators out, then what am I going to do? And that I pray that's not going to happen. I'm willing to see what the negotiation is. If we need to work together and pause operations for a shorter period of time, that's okay. We'll do it. It's, but if it's a 2-year ban, oh my God. Well, let me go look at what other countries are doing. What does the United States, friendly jurisdictions do? And it's a whirlwind. And I'm definitely learning a lot more.
So you mentioned Tether. This is the other thing that I wanted to follow up on. You mentioned Tether as well. I know, so Bitcoiners don't like crypto in general. It's Bitcoin only.
Same.
Stable coins are like this. Tether always seems to get a pass. And so for myself personally, I have to say that I've never used Tether, but I understand why people would use Tether. Um, can you, I guess I'm asking to speculate, could this bill and the ban be somewhat a response to the Genius Act in the US, where it seems as though Tether in particular, but stablecoins are making a big push and penetrating different markets? Is this a defensive sort of move that doesn't have to do with the citizens, but more maybe the central bank of Trinidad?
That's a good question. That's an absolutely good question. There's some a context that I'll give you that probably is going to help this. So the first thing is, Trinidad and Tobago has a foreign exchange crisis. So the Trinidad dollar, which like I could actually
Oh, show us the TT
hold on.
dollar.
This is $100. So this for one of these, not for one of these, but for one Trinidadian dollar, the official rate is $6.78 to one USD. So for every USD, I need $6 TTD, and that is what is the bank rate. And because the banks don't have enough USD currency, they've tightened their like the ability to give it out. So most folks are limited to $200 USD per month that they can exchange. So no matter how much I have, no matter if I have stacks and stacks and stacks of TTD, I can't actually go and buy USD for travel, for business, for whatever it may be, because there is a shortage. And so then the other side of it is now there becomes a black market, which is, okay, my friends or family are willing to bring USD home for me or pay for things for me, but they're going to charge a higher rate. So sometimes we're seeing $7 to one, $8 to one. But the folks in Trinidad need access to this foreign capital to simply participate in the worldwide economy. So USDT has filled a gap, which is I need access to a stable coin, USDT, and to just transact, just to pay my vendors that for a car or for equipment or whatever it may be. So USD has filled that gap, and that's something that I've learned very closely with my customers because I'm a Bitcoiner first and foremost. When they tell me USDT, I'm like, yeah, well, you'll have to go and exchange and do that because I can't recommend anything. I don't have anything to say about that. But I do understand it.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is Trinidad used to be on the gray list of something called the FATF, which is
I've heard of that before, the FATF.
let me make sure I get the FATF. What the heck?
While you look for that, I just want to say to our viewers, shout out to Time Chain Calendar because I have their app on my phone and it's really good. The current Bitcoin price is $125,000. So to you, citizens of Trinidad who have been saving Bitcoin for a long time and you're seeing all-time highs and your heart is just, you don't know what to do, my heart goes out to you because this timing is the timing is never good, but this is especially not good.
Right. Oh my God. So sorry. I just wanted to pause the Financial Action Task Force, which is based in the US, but generally they put out recommendations, not just for crypto. So crypto is a very small part of it, but for anything to do with money laundering and terrorist financing. So what are the right moves that countries can do? Because we are, we're all connected internationally. And what are the recommendations that they can do? So Trinidad used to be on the gray list, which meant that the regulations just didn't quite meet the standards. And that, that puts them at risk for being part of the international market, who they can transact with. So Trinidad government did work really hard to introduce a lot of regulations, and that was actually some that they introduced 4 weeks ago when this bill was also supposed to be read, and to get them back in good standing. Cool. We love a good regulation, especially when it comes to people's lives. Now, the Financial Action Task Force did say you also need to have regulation on cryptocurrency. So that includes Bitcoin, any virtual asset. And I think just from maybe the need to move really fast. Also, a new government was introduced, so they inherited a lot of timelines and deadlines from the older government. They just had an election. They said, okay, well, we're going to have to focus a lot of our time on the other regulations. Let's just put a ban on this for now, and then we'll see what happens. Without quite noting, or maybe they didn't have access to the information, that a lot of people do use this and they use it for good. And so there'll be, it's a more a disservice to their citizens than a service to it. So with those two things, so there's the foreign capital crisis, and also making sure that they stay in good standing with international bodies. That is where the bill got introduced. And we actually were using the Genius bill as like, hey, so the Genius bill is a little bit more friendly. Of course, there's some balance with the Genius bill, but take into account what the U.S. is doing. Look at what the regulations is, and look how big the population is. Trinidad's nowhere near the size of the population,
Yeah.
so you don't need to be quite as heavy-handed. There's more education that we can work out too. So both of those things, I think, were in response to this bill coming out, and our response to that.
That's quite something. So for the individual who is maybe holding Bitcoin or stable coins or anything, what does that person do right now?
So there's a few things that you can do. So the first thing that I've been telling everybody, especially if you're in Trinidad, but even if you're not in Trinidad and you have family home, I think it's important to know that this is something that you can get affected, or your family can get affected, is reach out to your local government. I know everybody says it doesn't do anything, but this bill was supposed to go into second reading the week after it was introduced. And because we kicked up a little bit of a storm and we said, hey, hold on, they've paused that reading. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you any of the inside conversation, but that reading has not happened yet. And I've had, enough sources say, hey, like, it's because the community said, hold on a minute, we want to work together with you on this. So reaching out to your local government and saying, this is something that really positively impacts me, crypto as is, and banning it is going to make my life that much more difficult. And the second thing is, we do have a petition on change.org. You just need to type in Trinidad, because we're the only petition in Trinidad, and sign it and share it with your friends and family. You can also get more information on the bill, what we're doing, the changes that we want to see. So something that we're very open to is a sandbox where good actors can work closely with the government and figure out and build regulation that works really well together. So that's what we're asked is for, and that's what we want the community to back us on.
I will include those links in the show notes. And so you mentioned this before, looking at different jurisdictions for Guap to operate in. What is next for you and for Guap?
Yeah, so I love Trinidad, and if I can build a startup and it starts in Trinidad, that is like a dream of mine. Our plan is to expand to anywhere that you can find Caribbean folks who send money back home, but also Bitcoiners. So we are building, it's a Bitcoin wallet. It's built on the new chain called Spark by Lightspark. And so we are going to be in the States, and our main thing is from cash to crypto. But cash exists everywhere. You can have an ATM everywhere. And if it's free for you to move your $20 bill into $20 on Bitcoin, no fees, I'm going to be your girl to do that. So Guap is going to go to the States. We're going to have ATMs there. And whether you're sending money back home to Trinidad, to Guyana, across the ocean, UK, wherever it may be, Bitcoin is borderless money. It's just getting it onto something, especially if you operate on cash, or if cash is the better option for you. To put it on an app and send it there. So we're going to grow to the US. Regardless of this bill, whether it goes through or not, we're going to have a presence there, because there is a lot of people who look and sound like us in Trinidad anyway. So we are in the US anyways, who are going to benefit from it. If we can continue operating in Trinidad, that's great. If we have to pause or wait it out and see what happens, so be it, is what it is. We'll still, keep tabs, because I think we brought something so great. I think Bitcoin has brought something so amazing to the citizens in Trinidad. They don't even know they're using Bitcoin sometimes, and that's okay with me, because all Bitcoiners can agree, we just want more Bitcoiners. So it's fine. And so the the next step is grow beyond the small but powerful island, into the states where we can just have that much more backing from fellow Bitcoiners.
Most definitely. And to fellow Bitcoiners from, all corners of the globe, basically, who are watching you, what would you ask them to do? What would be your ask to help with this?
Ooh, that's good. I think sharing what the impact of what Bitcoin has done for you, finding your Caribbean friends and telling them, hey, that this is happening. And if you have no Caribbean friends, go make some. I think the best thing is to just find Guap. I really want to hear from you guys on what is the best Bitcoin wallet and payments app that could be built, because we have an opportunity here to build it. I have a very excellent team, and this is something that we want to build and break out into the US market. So whatever problem you have that you think a Bitcoin wallet and payments thing can solve, reach out to me. Find me on Instagram, I think would be the best spot. Or
Awesome.
Twitter, because we're all on Twitter. That would make more sense.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Alexandra, for this impromptu,
Yeah.
sort of emergency. I don't even know if my father knows about it, for example, and they're coming next week, actually, so
Okay.
I can talk to them more about it.
Yeah.
One of my cousins is up from Trinidad, living in Toronto. I mean, the list. I'm not going to start listing everyone because it could be endless, but
Okay, my entire family is somewhere on this coast, Trinidad and up. Yeah. 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 I mean, all your family has probably sent money back home, right? And they've probably used Western Union, or they've sent barrels. Like I have barrels like right outside my door that are being packed. And the impact is that Western Union will be able to get more expensive. And they won't be
yeah,
able to use crypto if they haven't before. If this is something that they want to use to send cheaply, they won't be able to do it anymore. So, come on, Trinidad, like let's work together. I am happy to regulate. I'm happy to, play fair, but an outright ban will not work.
no, it won't.
Yeah.
I might be exposing my bias in asking this last
Sure.
question,
It's okay.
but would the regulators be responsive to people, sharing their input and their ideas, or would that put them, back against the wall, kind of
They
defensive thing?
so they love it. They love it. They
Okay.
love to hear from the community. Um, for all the flack that politicians get, and I graduated in poli sci, so I get it, self-serving and everything like that, but they are community servants. And whether
Okay.
they behave or don't behave like community servants, I will treat them like community service. And I have told them about testimonies. I've told them about, people who are excited about this, what they use it for, school fees, education, rent. It's the basics. It's the things that they want to see their
Yeah.
community thrive in. So yeah, if they want to hear from you, I would say absolutely do it. The ones that I have spoken to, they do like it, right? There's probably somewhere out there who's like, I didn't want to hear all of that. But like the ones I've spoken to, they're like, yeah, I didn't realize how much impact crypto had in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin and USDT. But it's great that it is. And we should take a second look at the bill. And that is the current, like, hopefully that's what the understanding is. And I feel like it is. So yeah, if you want to go and message them and say, I run a podcast, I love Bitcoin, I'm a Trinidadian, my family comes from there, I want to see this country. You're similar to me. You just want to see the country do well.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it would work well. I've seen comments actually on the bill on like Trinidad Parliament's like website, and it's people just saying, hey, like I understand why you want this bill, but like think a little bit harder about it, please. Like make sure you help us out here. So yeah, I think they do like to hear it.
And are they truly knowledgeable about Bitcoin, or is this general, like Bitcoin is the same thing as Doge, for example, or
Yeah,
some other?
Bitcoin is lumped in with cryptocurrencies, which they call virtual assets, which in the language also includes gift cards and loyalty points, so those would technically be banned too. So that's another thing. But yeah, Bitcoin is lumped in. We as Bitcoiners know what is special about Bitcoin and why it's different from any other. But anything where you can have a digital representation of value is just under the same umbrella.
I would love to get a regulator on the podcast to answer 21 questions. I will share the questions ahead of time, but just to test your knowledge kind of thing, and, a little challenge where they zap on lightning. You know what I'm saying? I would absolutely love that. If you can massage that to make it happen, I think that could be pretty fun.
Maybe when the bill is fully accepted and they're like happy about it, then I'll be like, okay, great, let's get you on a podcast because,
Hmm.
and by then they'll be knowledgeable and like they'll have my support if they're supportive of me. Either way, if they end up being mean to me, then I will put them on this podcast and you do what you need to do. But I don't think they will. I think we'll be friendly about it.
Hi, everyone. It's Saida, host of Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions. To my listeners based in Canada and the US, if you're looking for a seamless way to stack sats, i.e., save money in Bitcoin, check out the Bitcoin Well. And you're probably thinking, Sai, you moved to Switzerland a long time ago. How do you know the service is good? Well, I asked my father, the man who famously told me there's nothing wrong with being frugal, to test out their service, and everything checks out. He visited one of the ATMs in Scarborough. It was very intuitive, very easy to use, and the fees were not too high. So if my dad says it's okay, it's okay. Remember to use referral code AAB21Q when you stack sats with the Bitcoin Well. And please, 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 let me know how your experience is. Give me all of the details. And if you'd ever like to be on Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions to talk about your experience with the Bitcoin Well or just your experience with Bitcoin in general, I would be more than happy to host you. Well, thank you so much, Alexandra, for informing me, for educating me.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to jail. You know, the next time I go to Trinidad to visit family.
I get it. I absolutely get it. Yeah. Thank you
And
so
we're,
much for having me. I really, really
uh,
appreciate it and the airspace and just getting the word out there. I know it's a small population. Not everybody knows Trinidad to be anything but great food and a beautiful
Carnival.
island. But there's
And
some
Carnival.
yeah, and Carnival. There's so many smart people here, and I want them to have the opportunities that I just am privileged to have being in Canada.
Most definitely. And where can people find you? Where can people find Guap to follow up with questions?
Yeah, find me on Twitter, so Guap app, or Alexandra.Lutch is my personal one. On all of them. I'm Alexandra from Guap on TikTok. Or TikTok is where a lot of our folks are too. So, you can find me there as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alexandra from Guap.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye.